hopefully they'll get that sorted out. So Bill Cutler will be on the front row, the virtual front row, I guess you could call it, with his rolling start all by himself. The number 46, the ex-Schnitzer machine, getting ready for a start now. Race 1 for the Group A and Group C Heritage Touring Cars. Cutler will lead them down into turn 1. Good start from Nilsson in the Nissan. Try saying that quickly. Tony Salford into third in the A9X. That's Steve Axisa in the ex-Scotty Taylor VH Group C Commodore. Escort side by side as we thought. Matthews and Keane. Matthews has the inside run on Greg Keane. They're battling out in front of the Alpha of Gordon. Phil, you spotted David Toe taking the BMW into the pits.
He did take the car into the pits, so unless he's able to quickly rectify that and get out before they all come around again, which I would very much doubt, I suspect he's out for the race, which is a 10 lapper.
He's back out on.
He's back out on track, so here he comes. So whatever it was, he believes it's now up and running. So he has certainly got the carrot a long way in front of him.
This is going to make it interesting with David Toe with the red mist, of course, right at the back of the field after qualifying fastest in this category. Guys at the front at the moment, not worried about that, with Bill Cutler leading from Justin Nielsen.
Bill Cutler's car issuing a bit of smoke at the end of the back straight there, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as things progress through the event. May not be anything too much to worry about, but usually smoke's not a good indicator as they come up the start-finish straight. All pretty much in a line.
Ian Ross and the big ex-Mike Imrie XD Falcon out there after having a couple of electrical issues earlier in the weekend. That's Bill McGoffin on screen in the little Alfetta GTV. Just behind the big black XC Falcon of Tom Vondrasek. That's an ex-Rusty French hardtop.
Now, I did see that car do a full 360 down at the start of the old start-finish straight yesterday, and then proceeded to disappear off the track just after the sweeper yesterday and all of the wet that was going on. So managed to keep it off the scenery.
Great battle here. Justin Matthews in the Escort goes up the inside of Tony Salford in the A9X. Greg Keane says, thank you very much. I will follow you through, Justin. So and the two Escorts getting back past, getting through on the A9X of Salford. Well, Phil, if there was a circuit that was going to suit an Escort, it'd definitely be the long track here at Winton. Matthews goes off.
And gets a bath. That's, I hope you remember to take the shampoo and the bath salts with him, because he's certainly out there in the boondocks.
Got up on that ripple strip, and the ripple strips are very slippery with the wet conditions here last night, and that's pitched him off into the grass. And Escort's very handy in the forest back in the Australian Rally Championship days of the 70s. Not the sort of action we wanted to see from Justin today, though.
No, definitely not. And I think he's parked that in that position until he gets dragged out by the recovery vehicles later on. Meanwhile,
Bill Cutler leads, and the battle for second is the one we see on screen now. It's Steve Axisa in the VH Group C Commodore in front of the Group A Nissan Exa of Justin Nilsson. Steve Axisa in that Commodore has been a long-time campaigner in Group C touring cars. Started out with a Gemini, then moved on to an L34, also an XU1 Group C, unique XU1 Group C, the ex-Neville Bridges car. Replay here of Justin Matthews going off in the number 45 Escort.
Up on the rebel strip, tank slapper, and locks it all up out into the boondocks. He's got no hope of recovery out there. It's, yeah, bring the bath salts.
It looked like he had the car straight, but then just hit that big puddle, and that pitched the Escort sideways. So disappointing there for Justin, but I'm sure he'll be back out there. Safety car has been dispatched. I'm presuming because of the stricken escort, although it is a little bit off the racetrack there, but we can't quite see all of the track.
Yeah, I guess if anybody else comes off up there, it's they've got nowhere to go. They're not going to be able to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
good point, Phil. If Just can fall off there, anyone can fall off there, and the last thing we want to see is another car going into the stationary escort of Matthews.
Hands out the window and thumbs up, so that's a good sign. The city of Bathurst plastered across the front of the car with a little bit of mud on it.
Next, Bob Holden machine. Bob, of course, campaigned up until quite recently, in fact, in this very car. There's 3 or 4 of Bob Holden machines still running around. Escorts, and also, of course, the Corolla hatchback of David Patterson up there in Queensland.
So the cars will gather themselves up behind the safety car.
We saw that incident in the Group N race.
I'm just watching the recovery over on the back screen, back straight out through the window, and they've got an extremely long tow rope on that vehicle because they don't want to take the recovery vehicle into where the well,
we're getting
what would
advice.
you call it? The beached whale?
Yeah, we're getting advice on the headset, let the tyres down. That's an old four-wheel drive trick, isn't it, in the soft terrain?
Yeah. Yeah, when you get out in the sand and the slop, let them down. They're very cautiously backing in with the recovery vehicle because they don't want to get that bogged as well.
I'll stick it in low range. Well, one thing this will do is allow David Toe, our pole sitter, to get right on the tail end of the field. They'll be nicely bunched up for David.
Yeah, so he's
some way back,
and he's currently got the fastest lap time of anybody out there. So the 1:34. He's certainly by far the fastest car out on track when he's able to keep the car going around.
Not that David would wish any harm to his fellow competitors, but I'll bet he was pretty happy when he saw that safety car flag come out. Yup, yup, there.
And the escort being dragged out of the bath.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see Justin back underway because there's no damage to the car, obviously, just covered in mud.
Yep.
That'll need a good hose out when he gets back to the pits.
A little bit of embarrassment for the driver, having been caught up by the curbs.
Hopefully his fellow competitors will give him a bit of stick as they want to do.
He's probably already written a note to himself and plastered it on the steering wheel. Do not touch the curbs.
I am not Colin Bond or Greg Carr. Of course, those superstars of the escort rally scene back in the 70s. And we should be back underway very shortly with the escort now removed. It's forming up behind the Hyundai safety car. And then that unique shade of Hyundai N line purple, is it? It's almost a lavender, but it's tougher than lavender. I don't know what you call that. That safety, that Hyundai colour. I'm sure there's an actual name for that hue.
Now the escort is, I believe, still on track, but he a long way behind because he had to sort of not short track it. He's had to come around the right way, or has he? He may have returned to the pits, perhaps.
Would have been pretty waterlogged underneath anyway.
Safety car is coming in this lap, so we're here over our headsets, so we'll be back racing with these cars very shortly. Cutler is going to have the job in front of him now because they're all over his back, Darren.
Yes, and he's not going to be hanging around knowing that David Toe will be coming through from towards the rear. He's already got past Bill McGoffin just before the safety car came out, so he will be the pointy end very, very shortly.
Yeah, he'll certainly be very keen to make some moves once the safety car is well and truly out of the road. I thought the safety car was coming in, and I would have thought that the safety car would have been moving a lot faster than it is.
Lights are out, so we will be
Lights
racing.
are out, so
Steve Vaxisa in the Commodore. What has he got for Cutler in the BMW? The BMW is a lot nimbler through the corners, and Bill Cutler will be making the most of that as we get underway again. 6 laps to go for Group C and Group A Heritage Touring Cars. Bill Cutler leads them away. Vaxisa second. Justin Nilsson in the Nissan is third. He's had a good restart there in front of Sawford, who locks a brake in the A9X. Now has Greg Keem for company in the Escort, and Keem rounds up Sawford. Sawford coming under attack now from Nathan Gordon in the Alpha.
Toe has already taken 2 places from the restart, so he's worked his way well forward already.
Just got past Neville Butler in the little yellow Escort. X-Ray Cucci machine.
What's he going to do? He's going to try maybe for around the outside on the sweeper.
Just rounding up the XD Falcon of Ian Ross. Ian Ross gives him room, not quite, gives him racing room, so very tight up there. There's not a lot of room when there's an XD Falcon on the track either in that part of the circuit.
They are a fairly large vehicle out there, but Toe makes it easy down into that very tight right-hander onto the back straight, and again takes another one coming out of there. Toe moving his way well forward.
So first it was Ross, then it was Gordon. They all knew that Toe was coming through, and they let him
Ooh,
through.
A lot of smoke there from something.
It was Toe trying very hard. Yep, nipped the brake. Well, we know he's trying.
Drops down the inside of the Tirana without so much as a blink of an eye. Comes round onto the start-finish straight, powers the little beamer and heads on up the straight. And Toe is now in...
Meanwhile, while we've been watching David Toe, Steve Vaxisa has come through into the lead over Bill Cutler. As David Toe gets up to 5, which is soon to be 4.
Yep. And he's now 4. Yep. Gets past the Escort.
So Greg Keem back to 5th behind David Toe. So Vaxisa having a strong run at the front there. With 4 laps remaining, David Toe has his sights set now on Justin Nilsson in 3rd place.
It's been an amazing drive in a 10-lap race to have come from, well, worse than a pit lane start to already in position 4. What is he? Position 5.
Bill Cutler not giving up though. He's still on the tail of our race leader, Steve Vaxisa.
What can you do as he comes through? Vaxisa, a little bit of smoke coming from the back of the Tirana. There's Commodore there as he comes onto the back straight. And lots more of it as he gets to the end of that that back straight. Hooks it to the right. I don't think it's anything too serious.
Cutler all over the rear of the big VH Group C Commodore. Big flares that got bigger as Group C went on and on. So that's the VH in its final guise before the big bang of VK took over. So the flares are at their widest, the rear wheels are at their widest in that spec VH. As Toe has got past Justin Nilsson and now moves up into 3rd place.
Yes, and he's just done the fastest lap so far, a 1:32.79, so he's certainly honing in on the lead.
Vaxisa has just escaped briefly for a moment the clutches of Bill Cutler.
And I was almost distracted there by one of the cars on the skid pan in the background of what we can see on screen doing a bit of a flick turn. But Toe now in 4th position, working hard to pick up the back of Cutler. Nilsson.
3 laps to go for the Heritage Touring Cars Group A and Group C, the real deal. The car driven by our race leader Steve Axisa was raced by Scotty Taylor and Kevin Kennedy. Actually ran as a 6-cylinder at Bathurst in 1980, the only Commodore to do that. A problem with their race engine, so they transplanted the 6 out of their XU1 Sport sedan.
As you could.
Actually had to go back to a single Stromberg, I'm told. So ran with dual carbs as a sport sedan, had to run as a single Stromberg. So that doesn't exactly scream performance.
No.
202 with a Stromy on it. But they wanted to finish the race, get in the race, and did so.
Yep.
Really getting close now. Toe on the tail of our second place man, Bill Cutler, who in turn is not too far away from our race leader, Steve Axisa and the Commodore.
So with 2 laps remaining, well, less than 2 now as they head around the sweeper. Toe is not looking for a toe. He wants to get past the car in front. Headlights on the beamer.
But Cutler going through. Axisa has a problem, so the Commodore's gone from 1st to 3rd. Perhaps a missed change or something. He really slowed down immediately there.
Really did. That was
back on song now.
So this has got Toe now into 2nd spot, and he's looking to change that to 1st. A little bit of smoke again from Toe as they come through that left-hander onto that other back straight, the extension. Thunder's down there. Axisa seems to have, Cutler has a bit of more power in the straight line, it would seem. Axisa seems to be going again okay, so maybe he just missed a gear pretty badly down the back there or something.
Well, if you're going to miss one, you're going to miss it at the cleavage, aren't you? There's quite tight up there, a really tight radius turn. And that, we're just guessing, of course, but it certainly looked like that. But he's back on song now and very strong in 3rd place behind that black BMW of David Cho, who is trying to make a move on Bill Cutler. So, battle of the Bimmers at the front. His first race for the Heritage Touring Cars.
Toe looking for around the outside and working it beautifully. Pulls it off. Is he going to be able to stay there down into tank? Yes, he is. That was a brilliant move around the outside of the sweeper to take the lead of this race, having started from out of pit lane well after the start of the race. So that's an amazing result if he can stay there.
He's a pretty determined man, David Toe.
Very determined, I'd suggest.
Had a few heart issues a few years ago and had a fairly major operation to get back to full health, and the doctors basically had to strap him down to stop him from getting back behind the wheel of a race car or a motorbike. So that's how determined David Toe is.
So he's still the man with the fastest lap, a 1:32.79. So very quick indeed as he comes down to take the checkered flag for a great win there.
Bill Cutler right behind him, so a BMW 1-2. Steve Axisa will be 3rd in the Commodore. Justin Nilsson will be 4th in the Nissan.
Really good to see the crowd here. Standing ovation for Toe as he goes past our commentary position. So we'll just follow the rest of these guys home.
Tony Salford crosses the line next. Alan Grice, A9X Hatch. Nathan Gordon completes his first race in the family's Alpha.
Beautiful little car.
Slightly different handling characteristics to Nathan's HQ Monaro that he runs in Group N historic touring cars. The Alpha actually stops and goes around a corner. Nev Butler takes the flag in front of Tom Vondrasek and the big XC hardtop. Well, just beat
that was a good drive for the finish line there with the between the Escort and the big bird, Ford Falcon.
I'm here with Justin. Justin's got a Nissan Exa Pulsar in Group C and A. Can you tell us a little bit about your car, Justin?
So it was built in 83 to run 83 and 84. Obviously end of Group C, 84. Run by Christine Gibson out of Nissan Motor Company. Bob Muir ran at the 83 Bathurst with Christine, and then 84 Bathurst was Christine and Glenn Seaton. Not very successful, but very fast, small car. Going for class wins. Under Nissan Motor Company.
And how long have you had this car?
I think I've had it about 10 years now. Haven't raced it that much. Obviously, one of one, not overly reliable, but very unique. That's what I like about the car and the category.
And Winton Festival of Speed, have you been here before?
We ran it, I think I've been here twice. So the first time, and enjoy it. Love Winton. It's another racetrack, isn't it? It's technical and rewarding when you get it right. So love it.
They do like a bit of horse trading, the Group A and Group C guys, collecting cars, and they go to a different owner, and hopefully, usually, they end up back on the track. Sometimes they disappear into somebody's man cave, which no one ever likes, but you've got to hand it to the guys that still run them, putting them where they should be. They are a race car, and just my personal opinion, they should be out in the racetrack. Don't necessarily have to be up the front, but getting out there, getting the crowd the opportunity to see them again racing in anger. And here we go, folks. Race 2 of Heritage Touring Cars Groups A and C. The two BMWs will lead the field away once they get the green flag. Cutler in 46, Toe in 44. And they're away, heading down to the S's for the first time. Steve Axisa, a great start once again in the Commodore. He's right there with Toe and Cutler. But Toe will lead Cutler and Axisa through onto the old front straight. Axisa putting the move on Bill Cutler and moves up into second place. So good drive there from Axisa.
Certainly is, and David Toe's coming now to the back part of the section, so he'll be heading into the sweeper into the cleavage. He's still running first with Axisa in second and Bill Cutler's in third.
8 laps of the journey, so Bill Cutler taking it relatively easy there and allowing Axisa to go through, but you watch the number 46 BMW start to put the pressure back on the Commodore as we get further onto this race, with the Commodore a little bit harder on its tyres than the lightweight M3, homologated under 1,000 kilos, so a very great power to weight ratio for the little BMW. Easy on the brakes and tyres, or easier on the brakes and tyres, and already Cutler starting to fight back in that battle for second, Brett.
That's exactly right. We've got Justin Nielsen in fourth, and he's in the little Nissan Exa, so he's not that far behind, which is be great to see him get up and dice with these guys.
Had a good race yesterday in the little front-wheel drive Nissan after gearbox problems during private practice on Friday. Got the car on song again and posted a good finish.
Yeah, Justin's getting some good reliability out of the car these days, which is fantastic to see him back out there.
Hopefully we don't put the mocker on him, because he had some issues in days gone by.
And then closely followed is Tony Sawford in the Soul A9X hatchback out there, the Excel and Grice car.
Escorts are at it once again. Justin Matthews, the number 45 red and white X-Pop Holden Escort, narrowly in front of Neville Butler in the yellow X-Ray Cucci Mark II Ford Escort. And they've got their mirrors full of the big black XC hardtop of Tom Vondrasek. Next, rusty French operated machine.
Yeah, this is Tom's second race, I believe, so he's doing a good job out here today.
Yeah, won the young driver of the meeting at the Philippine Classic early in the year by keeping the big fat hardtop on the circuit. So he's doing a very good job.
Not an easy car to learn in.
I wouldn't have thought so. But certainly a nice big wide footprint. Those big, lovely big 10-inch wheels under the rear guards of the XC. So Tom doing a good job there, trying to track down the two Escorts on screen. Matthews and Butler.
a great dice between these guys.
Well, Justin Matthews would have needed plenty of Bowden's own car care on that Escort yesterday after he took a run through the wet grass and then ended up in a puddle covered in mud, which brought out the safety car. So good to see him back out there. And that car is certainly nice and shiny once again.
Yeah, that's right. And it's good to see the little cars out. We've got an Alpha out here as well, which is fantastic. Get some more little cars out here.
Butler puts a move on Matthews. It's a very neat move and now moves up into 8th place. No surprise there, David Toe, fastest lap, a 1:34.65. Next fastest man is Steve Axisa, second place driver in the Commodore, 1:34.9.
Normally we see Nev Butler on 2 wheels, so he's got all 4 on the tarmac today.
Another Escort here on screen, the Greek Keem, red and yellow number 14 Escort, putting the pressure on Tony Sawford in the ex-Alan Grice A9X hatch.
This is a good battle, actually. It just shows the difference between the big and the little car on the tight, twisty bit up here, doesn't it?
Keem goes through, neat move. Favourite move of all the small car drivers up here at Winton through that tight tank corner. The RS2000 shape Escort with that lovely little sloping nose on the front of it. An update from the original flat front of the Mark II Escort. Very popular in the small car class in the 70s at Bathurst and the Touring Car Championship.
Sure is. Looks like Tony may have... oh no, he's going. Looked like he had a smoke issue there for a second. Might have pinched a brake.
Stretch the legs of the 308 to get back past Greg Keane. Tony's been involved in Group C historic touring cars for many, many years, running his own car and also helping out other guys. So one of the stalwarts of the category, and it's good to see the A9X back out there after had a fairly hefty accident, which is not of his own doing at Bathurst a couple of years ago. And a lot of work put into that A9X, and it's great to see him back out there. And he's really got the wick turned up now because he's starting to reel in Justin Nielsen in the Nissan. As Tom Vondrasek and the XC got a little bit enthusiastic there, trying to attack the 2 Escorts ahead of him, and it goes off at turn 1. He's back on the circuit though.
Yeah, no damage, which is great. These 2 Escorts are having a fantastic battle here.
Yeah, Justin Matthews in 45 has just got past Nev Butler again in the number 53 yellow Escort. Talking about Tony being involved for a long time, so are these 2 guys, Justin and Neville. Justin driving an ex-Bob Holden Escort. There's probably more Bob Holden cars running in this category than any other former owner. There's quite a few Escorts and also a Corolla in Queensland of David Patterson. And Bob has also had several drives over the years in the category too, so very much involved and supporting the revival of heritage touring cars over the years.
Steve Acesa's got the fastest lap so far at a 1:34.14, which is pretty good for the Commodore around here compared to the BMWs.
Yes, Steve says game on, David, let's go. He's only about 4 or 5 car lengths behind Toe at the moment. Still 4 laps to go for race 2 of the heritage touring cars. Butler goes back up the inside of Justin Matthews. Plenty of passing going on. They've swapped positions just about every lap.
That's what these cars are made for, isn't it?
Matthews up the outside again of Butler, and looks like he held the inside line into the S's. Puts the move on, so Matthews back up into 8th, Butler back to 9th.
Looks like Nev's got him now. Turn 3 there, so...
Wonder if there's any hand signals going yet. Might be towards the end of the race. Would you like 1 beer or 2 beers after the race? That'll be the hand signals, won't it?
Sure it will be.
Those digit hand signaling. Tom Vondrasek back on song now, and if these two guys in the escorts don't keep an eye on that mirror, they might find a big black hulking XE hardtop right on their tail very shortly.
I'm sure they're going to. Tom's actually driving well. Other than that small off, he's doing really well out here.
Very careful over the, you saw the oil dry on the corner there. That was the reason for the delay, so they've done a good job to clean that up, because I haven't seen anyone get out of shape on that. So the oil dry doing its work as Vondrasek now. He's right on the tail of the two escorts as Butler once again draws up alongside Justin Matthews.
And Steve Assis has just beat his last fastest lap, and with a 1:33.16, so he's really good.
Butler side by side with Matthews once again. And here comes the XC. 351 cubic inches of Cleveland power being brought to bear now. Vondrasek rounds up Butler. Can he get past Matthews as they go into the S's? Not quite. Be round the outside of here. Have to be careful with Butler fighting back there. But he's kept it all nice and straight. So next cab on the rank for Vondrasek is the number 45 of Justin Matthews.
Let's see if Tom can get him. No, he's still a little bit behind, but I think Neb Butler's now catching up to him, and looks like Neb might even pinch him in the cleavage.
That car of Vondrasek had several drivers over the years. Jim Keogh and the very fast Kiwi Leo Leonard shared the car at Bathurst in the guise that is presented in. Originally built as an XB, then converted to XC, and appeared with first with those rectangular Fairmont GXL headlights, and they got rid of them fairly quickly, which is definitely a visual improvement, Brett.
That's exactly right.
Rusty French invariably turned up with black coloured cars, although that XC was painted blue at one stage when John Goss shared a drive in one of the Enduros and brought some funding along, and it was painted in the typical Goss blue.
I think it looks great in the black Morley Ford colours, to be honest with you.
Yeah, certainly a striking silhouette. As we go back to the front of the field, David Toe leading from Steve Axisa in the Commodore. Toe was lowered that fastest lap race that was held by Axisa until recently, so Toe into the 132s on that last lap. Axisa's fastest was a 133 on lap 5. Axisa not giving up though, he's right on Toe's tail as they head down to the S's once again. Right with him now, and overcooks it. So Steve Axisa goes off on the entry to the S's. Well, that was a kiss of death, wasn't it, Brett?
He's lucky he didn't hit that culvert like the cars yesterday, so...
Just got a little bit excited there as he
exactly.
Saw the tyre lights of the BMW in front of him, but he's gathered back up. He's well clear now of Bill Cutler, so he won't lose the position there, but he'll be a bit aggro with himself, but he wasn't going to go home wondering.
No, that's right. I think David's got a sigh of relief in his BMW. He can just ease up a slight bit.
1 lap to go for David Toe to make it 2 from 2.
He's driving this car very well, isn't he?
Certainly is getting the best out of it. If there was any track in the country that suited the BMW M3, you would think that it would be Winton.
Sure is. And it's great to see Bill Cutler's car out there, you know, being an ex-Schnitzer car. It's in its traditional BMW white, blue and red colour scheme.
Yes, those BMW Motorsport colours that took BMW to the World Touring Car Championship in 1987. That was the car that was crashed by Roberto Ravaglia. Friday practice, Bathurst in 87. The TAFE team, as they always did for many, many years, did some great work. David Toe is almost caught by Axisa right at the end there, takes the win. So David backed off a little bit there on that last lap.
Might have backed off that slight bit much.
Nevertheless, took the win. from Exisa. Bill Cutler was third.
It was a great race between these guys, Darren.
Vondrasek has got past Nev Butler on this last lap. They'll race to the flag. Cutler, as I mentioned, filled the final step on the podium, but still racing going on back through the field here. We're watching Vondrasek in the XC trying to hold out Nev Butler in the Escort.
Let's see if Nev can get him.
It's pretty fat, that XC.
Oh, it sure is.
Plonk it at the middle there. Nev will be trying to find a way past. Might get a look up here. And does it. Nev Butler. Tank corner once again. Nipped up the inside of the big XC.
Will cubic inches prevail?
Butler pedalling very hard to try and stop the run of Vondrasek. They're not too far behind Justin Matthews either.
No, actually looks like Nev's going to get Justin at the last corner here.
Butler's gone berserk on this last lap. He's really getting into it.
He
Got
sure
past
is.
Justin Matthews and will cross the line in front of the two Fords, Matthews and Vondrasek. Matthews fighting back. No, just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah.
So Nev Butler up into 8th. Great drive, and also a very entertaining drive too from Justin Matthews and Tom Vondrasek.
So we've got David Toe in first, Steve Exisa in second, Billy Cutler in his BMW third, Justin Nielsen in the Nissan XR is fourth, Tony Sawford in the A9X fifth, Greg Keane in the Escort, Nathan Gordon in the Alpha, Neville Butler, who we just spoke of, in 8th, Justin Matthews 8th, also in Escort, and then Tom Vondrasek in the XC Coupe in 10th. I'm here with David Toe. David's got a JPS M3 BMW. Can you tell us a little bit about your car, David?
Sure, yeah, this is the last of the 5 JPS cars they built in '87. It was the car that Richards and Longhurst drove at Bathurst that year to 4th place outright, beating all the German M3s that came over for the World Touring Car Championship round that year. And in '88, it was Brocky's Mobile M3.
You've raced Group C and A and with this car for a while?
This is my 4th Group A car. I started with the old white 323 that was run by JPS back in '85 for Longhurst, which was a development car. And then I bought the first of the 5 M3s, which was built from a converted 325 shell and is now owned by Peter Jones in Queensland. So I managed to get hold of this one as well and had the pair of them, the first and the last JPS M3s, in my garage at the same time. So I had a real humility lesson in those days, because I was having a really bad day at work one day and I was stood in my garage for a minute and I was really stressed and I'd had enough of work and I was going, this is crazy, I'm not getting paid enough, this is crazy. And then I looked and I had one arm on the first M3 and the other arm on this one and I went, oh, you idiot, shut up. And I realised how lucky I am to be where I am, so.
And obviously we're here at the VHRR's Winton Festival of Speed. What do you think of the event?
I love this event. We had a great time here last year with the Nissan Godzilla of Tony Alford. And when it was put on for us this year, I jumped at the chance to come down. It's great fun. I love it here.
No worries. Well, thanks very much.
Well done to all the officials and everyone involved in the Winton Festival of Speed. We thank you very much for your efforts. And of course, as usual, everyone down on the corners waving the flag, and all the fireys all do a great job standing out the weather all day long. We get to stand up here and ponce around in the commentary box, but they're out in the weather doing the real work. So thank you very much.
And not forgetting those trackside guys that have been tiptoeing through the mud for the weekend.
Yeah, pretty wet yesterday morning.
My word. Okay, unstarted orders.
Rolling start for Group C and Group A touring cars. Here we go, folks. Exisa from the Commodore, Toe in the BMW, and they're away. Good start from Exisa from the Commodore. Toe has the inside line into the yeses, but Steve Exisa very late on the brakes and takes the lead onto the old front straight. A great start from the Commodore. Cutler in third. Nielsen in the Nissan is fourth. That's Sawford, Keane, Nathan Gordon, Justin Matthews, Neville Butler, Ross, Vondrasek, the big XC hardtop. What a start, Ron, from Steve Axis from the Commodore. It leads around the sweeper.
Magnificent. I saw him get off the line, absolutely bogged it down, and away he went. And just had the legs, as you say, and the horsepower, the big V8 getting going. And Tao will make him work pretty hard. And the really big, as I just speak, he goes on the inside. Lovely move there for Tao, which is perhaps understandable. Lovely, much more nimble sort of car to get around. But let's have a look at the horsepower as we get out onto the main straight. And actually, it may just have the power down the straight. No, the little BMW is pretty nimble.
Got out of that corner very nicely and didn't give Axisa a sniff at all as they head out to the newer part of the circuit. Greg Keane, meanwhile, rounded up the A9X of Tony Sawford.
A little Alpha getting a bit of air under itself there. It pushed itself up over the top of the rebel strip as
Ian Ross rounds up.
Ross gets by, yes. Oh no, under the brakes again. The little Alpha should be pretty nimble right here. It is still a little bit of sideways action there as the little Escorts have put on a fantastic race previously, hanging on to the end of the strip.
The Escort looks about half the size of that big XD Falcon ahead of them. Axisa right on the tail of David Toe. Cutler in third. Justin Nilsson did another gearbox this morning, so that's a second of the gearboxes for Nilsson this weekend. As we see Nathan Gordon in the Alpha coming under attack from Justin Matthews in the ex-Bob Holden number 45 Mark II Escort. Makes the pass, so good drive there from Matthews, goes up into 8th. And now Gordon has the yellow Escort behind him of Neville Butler looking to put a move. And what a race we saw this morning, Ron, between the Escorts of Matthews and Butler.
Okay, yes, report of 49, Ian Ross losing fluid somewhere, so he may get a meatball flag or something like that to pull in.
Might be perspiration, Ron. He's having to work pretty hard.
It is, it's coming out of the back, you can see it's some sort of overflow. Not quite sure why it should be coming out of there, but anyway, they proceed on, and it's still Ross out in front, and the two, the Escort and the Alpha and the Escort, making it all very hard for him. Now the lead cars just disappeared out of our sight. They're not on screen at the moment. Here they are as I speak. 69 Axios and where have we got Toe? Is Toe in the picture? Yes, there he is. And he's got a good lead this time. Then back to Bill Cutler.
Justin Nilsson holding down 4th in that unique front-wheel drive turbocharged Nissan Exa.
There was a photo of it on Facebook just a short time ago in bits. The gearbox all over the place, so he's done well to get it up here.
Justin probably should have Velcro mounts on that gearbox in that car. It comes out that often.
Oh, really? Okay.
Great work from the guys to get the car back on the track, and he's holding down a strong 4th place at the moment in front of Tony Sawford. Next, Alan Grice racing A9X hatchback. Car that Gricey ran in the Touring Car Championship in '79. Unfortunately, was written off against one of those many earth banks that serve as Paradise and reshelled and taken to Bathurst as a team car in 1979. Then Gricey ran the team's other car into 4th place with the great Alfie Costanzo as co-driver.
The Grice car you're just talking about on screen.
Alfie just about would have needed a cushion on the driver's seat to see over the dashboard of the A9X, wouldn't he? The diminutive open wheeler champion.
Okay, short in stature. Okay.
Greg Keane in the number 14, ex-Bob Holden Racing Escort, trying to put a move on Sawford. The Holden has the legs down the straight. The trusty 308 Holden under the bonnet of Sawford's A9X.
Whether that was a bit of surge, I'm not too sure, which these cars did suffer from years gone by, but would have thought it was sorted out by now. But yes, but he's still going, and that's the main thing. There goes that lead car as he's not on screen at the moment, but he's heading down towards turn 3. And a big gap then to Axia in, he's doing 135 to Toe doing a 133. So good gap there.
Ross the Falcon.
Still losing whatever it is coming out the back.
Only did a handful of meetings as a touring car back in the day, then became a sports sedan for a few years, but not a lot of sponsorship on there, of course. One of the multitude of privateer touring cars we used to see back in the day. Some guys only ran 1 or 2 races a year.
That's right.
Basically paid for the whole thing out of their own pocket with no big sponsors, and the Mike Emery machine there is a great example of that. Justin Matthews right on the tail of Ross, getting very close to that wide rear end of the XD.
Going a long way around there, but the Falcon gets pretty big, but if he gets a bit of a lurch here, he might just get down the inside. No, he takes the switch back, tries to do the flip back across there and come on the inside, but Ross should have the legs down the straight.
351 Clevo under the bonnet of the XD Falcon. 1600 crossflow under the bonnet of the Matthews Escort, hiking a couple of wheels over the curb. Always great to see. That's usually the territory of Neville Butler. We've seen plenty of photos of Nev up on 2 wheels.
He's Neville, as you say, I can see him at a distance, still harassing the Alfa Romeo up there.
Tom Vondrasek and the big XC hardtop might have run out of tyres. He's quite a way back from Butler after having that great battle with the Escorts in the earlier race this morning. He's still having a very solid meeting in the wheel of the ex-Rossi French racing machine. It's Nathan Gordon trying to fend off Butler. Gordon having his first run in the family's Alpha 105, a car that his father owned and backed back in the day. Wayne Harrison drove that car at Bathurst. Bill McGoffin had it in his ownership, his very careful ownership for many years, and the Gordon family purchased the car back recently. So it's come full circle with Gil Gordon's son, Nathan Gordon, behind the wheel, trying to fend off that Escort of Cutler. Nathan usually seen at the wheel of a very big blue HQ Monaro in historic touring cars, has jumped into the heritage touring cars. Nothing between the Alpha and the Escort through the twisty bits. Neville has his blinker on. Is he telling Nathan that's the side I'm going to pass you on, or what is he doing?
Not sure. He's certainly not wanting to turn right just there, I'm going to show you. If he now wheels up, that'll be in one of the photos in a magazine somewhere. He really does have a very tight front end on that car. It tips the wheels up very easily. The Alfa, of course, be a beautiful little car to drive in these. They were just suited for this sort of racing, long distance racing. The little Alfa GDAs, of course, are the lightweight version of the same sort of car. Were very unbeatable in European racing for many, many years.
Yeah, and the great multiple Le Mans winner Derek Bell drove an Alfa at Bathurst back in the 70s as a guest drive. Not quite as successful as Jackie Ickx was his first time at Bathurst with a win, outright win in 77. Yeah. But yeah, Derek drove one.
Yep.
Cutler right on the tail of Gordon. He'll be enjoying this. Not often some of the smaller cars get to race with fellow smaller cars on particularly some of the longer circuits like Phillip Island or Sandown, but the confines of Winton have brought the small cars out in force. Bill Cutler holding down a solid 3rd place in the ex-Schnitzer M3. That's definitely a BMW worthy of the famous M badge. They seem to be throwing around on everything these days, SUVs, which I don't quite understand.
That's right.
Justin Nilsson keeping Bill honest though, in that little Nissan Exa. The number 60 front-wheel drive turbocharged machine built by Gibson Motorsport for Christine Gibson to race. She shared the car with Glenn Seaton at Bathurst in 1984. Very young Glenn Seaton. He would have been about 18 or 19 years of age.
Apparently in those days, of course, very hard to steer. These things suffered terribly from torque steer. And you put the foot down, I think I want to go right or left, you weren't sure where you were going. They seem to have sorted that out in later years.
Justin has owned that car for many years and has dialed most of that out. And he's really starting to give Bill Cutler the hurry up. And really trying very hard to reel in that number 46 BMW. So Bill will have to keep the eyes peeled.
Well, if he's an optometrist, he'd probably do that very well.
He certainly would. He certainly would. 2 laps to go in the last race for the Group C and A Heritage Touring cars. David Toe, fastest lap of 1:33.8 on lap 2. Certainly been the class of the field this weekend. Steve Axisa in the ex-Scotty Taylor, Kevin Kennedy VH Commodore. Car that ran in
Just
5 consecutive Bathurst.
Just coming on screen was getting past the Butler, got past the Alpha, Gordon. So that was a good move, right up into the tank, ducked down the inside, thank you, away I'll go. So let's see who's got the horsepower down the straight. And the Alpha pulls out, up down into the braking area. I don't think he's going to get it from that end.
Neville's been around a few years and he didn't give Nathan a sniff at all there. Covered that inside line. Saying to Nathan, well, you want to try it around the outside, mate? Here we go. Can he do the crossover? Neville says, I don't think so.
Brakes. Very late under braking there. I'll have this corner, thanks very much.
The Esky pretty handy under brakes, as is the Alpha.
Our lead car must be coming down the back straight. So we'll look up for him when he comes along.
Last lap for David Toe in the last of the M3s built by Frank Gardner. And he's heading towards a 3 from 3 result for the weekend. Great effort from David and the team. Had to work really hard in the first race yesterday afternoon. It's been pretty much plain sailing for him today. And David Toe will take the win in the final race for the Group C and A touring cars. Steve Axisa closed in right at the end there. Great drive from the Sydney side in the VH Commodore. Bill Cutler should get home in 3rd place and does so.
60.
Justin Nelson on the last lap was right up there with Bill Cutler in that battle for 3rd. It looks like he will not post a finish.
There were a couple of puffs of smoke earlier up in the cleavage area up there where the misfunction in the engine.
Well, that's devastating there for Justin on the very last lap within sight of the flag. Was certainly up there for 4th, but challenging for 3rd briefly there. And
all that work, putting the gearbox and things back together.
Yep, so it looks like he won't get home.
Oh, and just on the line.
Tony Sawford rounds up Greg Keem right on the line. And Justin Nilsson and the Nissan won't even make it into the pit, so it's a fairly serious issue, unfortunately, for the little Exa. Ian Ross was 6th in the Big XD, had a great battle there, held off Justin Matthews in the Escort. They had a battle all race long, so that was fantastic to watch. Certainly be watching that again on Blendline TV. Neville Butler was 9th.
Yes, you can actually catch up with all this action for the next little while. It's all on replay on YouTube. You can pick it up a little later on.
Actually, I think Nathan, yeah, exactly. I think Nathan Gordon got past Butler on that last lap.
Might have done.
We were looking at the...
it was Neville Butler tapping the top of his car. He's happy with all that.
Oh, a great battle bear.
Gordon behind here waving. They had a good little race.
So David Toe, the winner from Steve Axisa. Bill Cutler was 3rd in the BMW. Sawford 4th in the A9X. Greg Keem 5th. Ian Ross in the Falcon 6th. Justin Matthews 7th in the Escort. Nathan Gordon finished right over the top of Butler there, right at the end in 8th. Butler 9th, and Justin Nilsson didn't quite get to the line, but will be classified 10th. Nevertheless, thank you very much to the Group C and A touring cars. And thank you very much once again to all the officials coming up very shortly. Thank you also to Cool Drive Automotive. We Love Cars. Of course they do, Cool Drive. Thank you for your support of Group C and A touring cars. Coming up next, we'll have Alfa Romeo and invited cars. I'll sign off now. Ronnie, thank you very much. Hope to see you all at Historic Sandown, November 10th and 11th.
Thanks, Darren. Good call again, as always. So, Darren, the guru of all things touring cars. He's been doing it for a while now, and we enjoy having his company calling the races. Okay, we'll take a little break for a short time. Back shortly.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip for two to the 2024 Monaco Historics. The 11-day trip includes airfares, luxury accommodation, Monaco Historic race hospitality tickets, and $10,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win the all-new Indian motorcycle FTR Sport. Get 10 entries when you take out new Shannons insurance on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive or bike, and 5 entries for new Shannons home insurance. Call Shannons on 134646 or go online today.